All right. The only prediction we have to make this week is obviously the biggest SEC game of the season, and that is the SEC championship between the Georgia Bulldogs 12-0, 8-0 in the SEC and the Alabama Crimson Tide 11-1, 8-0 in the SEC. So this is 4:00 on CBS from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, on Saturday. Matt, let's start with you first. What is your prediction for SEC championship?
Is this the final CBS game that they have
Yes.
coverage? So
SEC
there's
on
no
CBS.
more there's no more Gary Danielson after
This
this
is the
game.
last hurrah.
Um, this is tough because it's all going to depend on which Bama team shows up. If it's the Bama team that can play really tough, then Bama will win this game. I feel like. However, I don't know if Bama comes out strong the first half and then Georgia comes out slow, then maybe Bama finds a way. But I don't know. It's been hard to bet against UGA for the last 2 years. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick Georgia 28-21. Oh, it hurts so much.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah. So, interesting stat here that I was unaware of. Georgia has never beaten Alabama in the SEC championship. Can that change this week?
Out of how many times?
I didn't look at the number. I just
Well,
saw that.
that's the question. If it's like no times out of two.
Well, I was gonna say I know that there's been two since I've been in the last 10 years, because I know it was the Aaron Murray, and like, was that 12 or 13 or whatever year that was, and then the one where Jalen Hurts came in for Tua and won, and that was what, like 3-4 years ago. I'm losing track of years.
Like 18 or 19.
Yeah. But anyway, interesting stat that I just saw in passing. Can that change this week? The first thing that I have to consider here is the injury report. It sounds like Bowers and offensive lineman Tate Ratledge were the closest to playing on Saturday, with Thomas and McConkey being a little bit more limited. I think if we don't get at least one of those receivers or Bowers at the tight end spot back, that this game might be a long one for the Dogs. So there's still a lot of weapons, but if you keep taking more and more away, it's just, hard to sustain the losses continuously. Another thing I have to consider is the fact that Georgia really struggled against designed runs for Haynes King last week, and obviously that's Jalen Milroe's strength. So as a Dog fan, hopefully that showed us what we need to work on, but you also have to consider that maybe a weakness was exposed there. So, but obviously if I, sitting here in the comfort of my own home, can see that, then I'm pretty sure that Kirby's not only seen it, but come up with a plan to try and fix it. But we'll see how things turn out on the field. So I think this is one where maybe we see a bunch of lead changes early on. And goodness knows the Dogs have been behind a lot early this year. But I think they've responded well, and I think they'll continue in this one as well. So I think the offense does enough, and the defense gets a much needed stop later on. And I'm going to go with the Dogs here, 31-24. Jesse, what you got?
It looks like we've met 4 times in the SEC championship, 3 or 4 in the 21st century. I am doing this simply because I would feel sick doing otherwise. I'm picking Bama. I'm not confident at all, but to pick UGA over Bama makes me physically ill. So for my own health, I will not choose UGA. I'm going to pick Bama in a very close one, 28-27. I agree with Matt. It depends entirely on what Alabama team shows up. And Lord help us, I hope we have been working on some things since the Iron Bowl. But regardless, this is going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be nerve-wracking, and it's going to be a good one. Every time these two teams play each other, it's a good one.
Yeah, and I think some years of my life are taken off typically. Yeah, so
wait a minute, you guys don't play every season? Oh wait, that's us. We play y'all every friggin' season. Never mind. I remember now.
Well, with realignment, who knows what's going to happen. But
yeah, that's a good point. By the way,
Um,
Wes, we have the same differential. I'm willing to change if you would like to not have the same.
Well, so it actually might not be, as I say, we can still kind of work it out depending on what the actual score is. One of us may actually be closer. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
We can,
Okay. No,
guys,
we'll
we
leave,
can talk
leave
more
alone.
offline if
We'll
we
leave
want
alone.
to, change it. But yeah, that's cool. Jesse, so I have to ask if you think that Bama may struggle, but you're picking them so you won't be sick. What does Bama need to do in order to overcome, what you're seeing as a weakness there? What do they need to do to beat Georgia in this one?
Bama has to put pressure, defensively, put pressure on the quarterback. Absolutely. We have got to get to him. We have to, and I don't know, I haven't looked at, the scouting reports or anything. I'm not sure if you guys are going to have injured players that are coming back for this game or not. I would imagine somehow Brock Bowers is feeling much better before the SEC championship. If that's the case, we have got to cover him and make sure that he doesn't touch the ball. That's a huge one. I would also say offensively, our offensive line has to continue to hopefully improve this week. Our center has to make good snaps. Jalen Milroe has to not throw past the line of scrimmage.
He's developed a habit out of that, hasn't he?
That's gonna be a big one that we got to do. But I think more than anything, we have to respect who our opponent is and their record. We have to not be intimidated by that. We have to know our identity as a team and take the field with it and not find it at halftime. We have to play 4 full quarters. We cannot play one really great one and maybe one questionable one and 2 okay ones. It's got to be lights out for all 4. And on the opposite end of the ball, UGA has to do the same thing if they want to beat Bama. They have to play for all 4. And honestly, it's going to be a slugfest. And I think it's going to be who can play 4 complete quarters.
Yeah. And mistakes. What's the turnover margin going to be? Yeah, I think that's going to be big.
I think that favors UGA more than it favors Bama.
I would say so, yeah.
Bama's feel like has been a little bit more mistake prone than UGA has this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. Like you said, shaping up to be a good one. So we'll see what happens there. Looking forward to hopefully a good game.